Welcome back to Open Line tonight. I'm here with Representative Mike Sparks joining me, talking about the fatherless epidemic. It's a resolution, resolution concerning this has passed in the legislature just to encourage community, government, nonprofits, churches to all come together and address this issue and the problems it creates, you know, as you look down the line. We're also streaming live on Facebook. We're taking your calls on the air. I do want to mention that it is Open Line. We always get to as many callers as we can, 615-737+. I also want to look on Facebook, and you know, this topic has brought up a couple of people talking about child support and how it's so hard, and they're saying Tennessee just needs stricter child support enforcement laws. Do you hear this from some of your constituents?
I mean, not so much. I would dare say we don't need any more laws. I mean, we've got enough laws. I mean, the legislature, we have about 1,500 laws that get passed every year, and the culture seems to get worse. You know, so I think you need more community. You know, and I'm reminded of a man, I'm gonna mention his name if he's watching, James Rhodes. I guess he's got a clothing store down here on Jefferson Street, and I was talking to him, and I asked him, I said, man, what's kind of went wrong in the community? And he was probably 70, 75, and he told me, he says, you know, my grandmother had a second grade education, my grandfather had a first grade education. He said, but my neighbors were school teachers. He said they taught me my alphabet, my colors, and my numbers. He says, so I had pre-K, and he was saying I had community, even though he was raised by his grandparents. And it was kind of touching for me, for him growing up in the inner city down here in Nashville, where he talked about the community really made the difference. And I've kind of had those mentors. Sally Walls, you know, our former police chief in Smyrna, Major Walls, that started the Omni Hut. He was in World War II when Pearl Harbor happened. He was there at Pearl Harbor. And you know, the neighbors made a difference growing up, and I think we've lacked that sense of community, and I don't think more laws are the answer. I really don't.
I understand where you're coming from in that, but to a woman who says I can't get my spouse to pay child support or get it collected, or for someone to step in, that's not their answer. Yes,
ma'am. I mean, maybe more enforcement of the current laws, and I've been a critic of that, and that's a whole other topic about transportation, HOV lane. That's another topic. But you know, for example, do we really want to take someone's driver's license if they get behind on child support and they can't get to work? And then they're not going to be able to earn a living. So that's some of the what I call asinine things that sometimes the legislature will pass. And sometimes we pass laws and we've got to undo them the next year. Because they didn't make sense the first year. So, I mean, the people in the churches and the community really have to get more involved. I mean, we've got the Beacon Center that's looking at some of these reforms. They help, and more of a grassroots effort, you know.
Let's jump to the phone lines. We have William on the line. William, thanks for being with us. What's your comment tonight?
Yes.
Go ahead, William. We're listening to you.
Yes. I hope we have a representative like Mike. You know, it's all about the family at the end of the day. And I think government took away the power. I agree with the first caller, because I had working with one of my friends, and I told him, why are you not working full-time? And he said, if I work full-time, I have to pay half of my money for child support. And the money, it goes to the mother, not the child, and they go and do shopping. So it's not helping the child because of the restriction government put on. I've been in this country for 17 years. 13 years in a refugee camp. So I've seen a lot. Now I don't have a job because of the law like that. You know, my job was taken away because the company scammed me. And I was the one ended up being charged. He spent 11 days in jail. And then after that, I thought the case was done. I was a government contractor. They called my employer and they said, we don't want this guy to work for you. So now it's very, very hard for me to find a job because of the charges. I went to downtown and met with my representative. You might know him, Brian Terry. I met with my district attorney, Jimmy Jones. And everybody, representative in D.C., is Carrie Sharpe. Nobody seemed to help me because these companies told my money was from another state. So I was charged with the, you know, but it was a communication between me and them. It took me 3 years to pay them, and they were the ones calling me every month to take my money. So when they took my money, that was it. and I could not find them.
You know what, William, we're having just a little bit of trouble understanding you, but we do appreciate your call in tonight. And I know one thing that William did say was family is first, and that's where it all starts.
It is. He mentioned Representative Brian Terry. Brian's from my community. Brian's a great guy. He's got a great representative. But, you know, it does need to get back to the family. And to be honest with you, you know, I just don't see anybody talking about it. I don't really hear many pastors talking about it. And the church can't do it all. School teachers can't do it all. I mean, we're seeing problems in law enforcement. I mean, look at these rallies that were just up here at the Capitol. What's Saturday? I mean, what are they really rallying against? I mean, we're going to talk about gun control. You know, talk about Chicago. Talk about all the inner city shootings in just Chicago. Go back and look at the root of that problem when those young men are killed. In Chicago, there's your problem. There's something to be rallying about right there. But many times, I mean, the media seems to focus on something else rather than focus on the root of the problem.
Well, wouldn't you agree with, you're referencing the school shootings and the March for Our Lives rally that happened this past weekend. There's not one single problem. There are many issues when it comes to the school shootings. You can't point to one thing. You can't point to just guns. You can't point to just mental illness. You can't just point to the fatherless epidemic.
Yes, ma'am. It's a myriad.
It's just not an easy.
Exactly, it's a myriad of issues, no doubt, and but we got to dig deep into that and inventing more laws and spending more funding on prisons. I mean, one day we're going to have to all pay for this, and at the end of the day, the American taxpayers are going to be the ones that's going to be hurting.
Let's jump to Lou here on the line. Hi, Lou. Thanks for calling in tonight.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead with your comment or question.
Okay, in high school I had a lot of Latin classes, ancient Rome, Roman history. The ancient Romans had the same problem with welfare states increasing and lots of money being put into the problem they could not solve. So they came up with, they would assist parent who is single with raising kids. They could have 2 children and they would be fully funded. If they had the third without a mate, then their welfare went down. If they had a fourth, welfare went down from there. They found that the children were better taken care of if they limited the amount of money. And I feel like now I've noticed lots and lots of, especially teenage boys, are put out of the house at a certain age and they seek shelter. Other places are forced to seek shelter many times, other places, and they aren't taken care of and they get in trouble.
Yeah, we certainly have seen that from the statistics and the data that you look at it, you know, that certainly supports that for sure. Thank you for the history lesson, Lou. Did not know that.
Welcome. Have a blessed night.
You too. Appreciate your phone call tonight. And don't forget, this is Open Line. It is your chance to call in, sound off on this topic. We'd love to hear your own experience, your own thoughts on the fatherless epidemic. 615-737-PLUS is the number to call. Just want to remind you that a resolution was passed by several lawmakers, both on the House and Senate side, dealing with the fatherless epidemic. Why did you want to bring this up? Why was it so important to you of all the things out there?
Just to, I dare say it's probably the most important issue that's out there is the breakdown of the family. But when I look in Nashville, I've been in there 8 years, and I see all the lobbying, and nothing against lobbyists per se. They're just doing their job as an advocate, if you will. But going back to that advocate, lack thereof, of the fathers and the homes, I mean, we've got to have more advocacy out there. And I can promise you, there's nobody up there lobbying Capitol Hill for really the breakdown of the family, and it's a serious issue that we're all paying for.
But what do you think the government can do? I mean, you're saying no one's lobbying, but then what is there to be done?
It's really tough, because how do you go and legislate your way out of these problems? And I say we can't legislate and incarcerate our way out of the problems. I mean, look,
that's clearly not working. The
drug problem, I mean, it's gotten so much worse than when I was in high school. You know, growing up in Smyrna, we never even heard a siren. And every night you hear a siren. In Laverne, you know, I watched Laverne change, because my father lived in Laverne for 30-something years growing up. You know, he wasn't at home, and they were divorced when I was about 2. And it's just countless sirens, you know, and countless problems. I mean, I'd have never dared see that, dream that we'd see the problems that we see in just my county.
So as a citizen of your county, not as a lawmaker, what do you do?
You know, I mean, the Boys and Girls Club has a good outreach. I mean, others have a good outreach to try to reach these young people. You know, the last time I was on this program, or one of these programs, it was with Pat Nolan on Inside Politics, and strangely, the young man that was with me that came down was the main protester about Nathan Bedford Forrest. But him and I just kind of clicked. But his mom wasn't, his dad wasn't in the house. Brandon Woodruff, nice young man, very polite to me. He was the one that wanted to take down the Nathan Bedford Forrest, you know, name up there. And he had enough wisdom and discernment to just come talk to me. And we just hit it off. He became my intern, and but we just kind of connected. You know, but I think law enforcement can do a better job with reaching these young people, and I think for the most part, law enforcement does try to help. But when you're facing an onslaught of what I say epidemic, whether it's drugs or addiction, man, you've got to hit this stuff hard and work aggressively to combat this kind of stuff. You know,
it really does take it from all sides. But again, it starts at home. It can
yes,
always
and
start
really
at
the
home.
media, which to be honest, I got love-hate with the media. You and I talked about this off the air. And the media, I love them when y'all do a good job and you try to bring attention to serious issues. But I don't like the media when they create fake news. You know, and I know that I've been the brunt of that. They're not going to talk about that young man that became my intern. That doesn't make news. That's a good story.
Did you tell anybody about it before today?
Everybody knows that story.
I didn't know about that story.
Media's not interested. I've reached out to Rick Casebar and others. Brandon was willing to come on the air with me, and y'all never got back with me on it.
Well, every story,
I'm just being honest.
I mean, every good thing that ever happened doesn't turn into a story, and it doesn't matter if it's you or somebody else. But we do a lot of good news, and just because we didn't do the story doesn't make it fake news or us prepared.
I had a reporter of the day tell me, he said, because I talked to him about this, he said, Mike, bad news what sells.
Well, that's not.
But that's sad.
True.
Well, that's what a reporter told me. He's a good reporter. I said, it's sad though, if all you're going to do is report bad news. What if at me as a lawmaker, all I ran was bad bills, or all I did was run bills that lobbyists supported me and I run their bills? That's a sad day, and that's a slippery slope, and that's what we're going down in the culture. Sadly, it's not only politics, the media is guilty. The media is guilty. I mean, I'll commend you for having me up, and Taylor having me up today to talk about this, you know, but the media can
And that's
do
what we are
more.
going to talk about, because I don't want to get on the other topic, because we're just not going to go there at this. This is not what you came on to talk about.
I know.
Not what you wanted to talk about.
But I'll win that debate, though.
Well, maybe we'll have it on another day, but it's not going to be today.
Watch the viewers, watch OpenLine, watch Inside Politics.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, perhaps more of the show. Not really sure right now. Stay with us.